Welcome back to Bloody Besties with your hosts, Ruby Wilde
and Melissa Mae.
And this week, what topic did I give you, Melissa?
This week we're covering Batman as the topic. So I did some research into Mr. Bruce Wayne. Do you know his name comes from two real historical heroes?
I do not.
Right. Do you want to take a guess?
Okay, Bruce Campbell? No, I'm totally just kidding. Wayne.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah, I'm not good at this.
The Bruce part came from Robert the Bruce, who's a Scottish national hero known as King of Scots from 1306.
I would not have known that ever.
He died in 1329. Mr. Robert led Scotland during the First War of Scottish Independence against England. He was also who the movie Braveheart was based after.
I could see that. William Wallace. See, I would have known that. They could never take our freedom.
And the Wayne part came from Mad Anthony Wayne, who was a hero of the American Revolutionary War. And he was the founding father of the United States.
Oh,
crazy.
Okay. And I've never heard of him. Have you?
No.
Okay. Well, this episode today, trust me, it does involve Batman. But we're going to have to jump around a little because it was really hard to figure out a linear way to say what happened. Because it's a lot of pieces, a lot of movement, and a lot of...
oh, shit.
Yeah, pretty much. It is the way that it is. We're going to start in the penthouse suite of room 453 at the Rye Town Hilton Hotel in Rye Brook, New York, July 12, 2009. Narcy Novak was calling for help because she had just found her 53-year-old husband, Ben Jr., murdered in their room. When police arrived, he was not just murdered, he had been tortured. He was left in his underwear. His face was covered in duct tape. His eyes were gouged out, so he was enucleated, which is top 5 favorite words of mine, which I love enucleated. Yeah.
I don't like the picture messing with the eyes, though.
Oh, I don't want to picture it, but enucleated, defenestrated, they're so...
anything aided.
No, they're very descriptive of what happened. His arms were taped behind his back. His legs were taped below his knees. His head was covered in blood. At the time of autopsy, they discovered that 20 of his ribs were cracked and his Rolex was left on his hand, so robbery was left out. There was no security cameras on that floor, and so police started asking around if anyone in the vicinity saw or heard anything, and no one did. Of note, there was no forced entry to the suite, and Narcy's key was the only one that had been logged entering the room when she had found Ben Jr. Let's circle back to figure out who any of these people are, so we're going to have to start with his parents, because he is Junior. Ben Sr. grew up in the Catskill Mountains, where his father operated a hotel, and when his father died, Ben took over operations with his brother, but it didn't last, and he moved to New York, where he changed his last name from Novak to Novak, and he ran a haberdashery.
What is that?
Menswear. It's another word that I like, so I put it in there.
Man panties?
Man panties. It failed. In 1940, he decided to try the hotel business again, and he and wife number 1, Bella, moved to Miami Beach, and they bought the 111-room Monroe Towers Hotel. The couple then adopted their son, Ronald Mark Novak, and that might be the last you hear of him because no one seems to report on him ever. I really tried to hunt it down, but he wants to be off the radar. I'm going to leave him that way. Monroe Towers did so well, he was able to purchase 4 more hotels in the area. His mother, Bernice, was born in 1921, and she made it past a very rocky childhood. She traveled through foster homes and then really decided to make a name for herself. She was beautiful. She modeled for Coca-Cola and Salvador Dali. It's no wonder that she was the one who turned Ben Novak Sr.'s head after they had met in the 1940s. There was a problem, though, because Ben was still married to his first wife, Bella. Yes. Bernice refused to pay him any attention. This girl had some standards. She was like, you are married. We are no go. When he showed up with a divorce certificate, she said, okay, you're a suitable prospect. And they married in 1951. And in 1954, they bought the Harvey Firestone estate. And Harvey was the founder of Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, which is, is it worldwide? Is it just an American thing?
That I don't know, but it's now sold to a Japanese company. It's now Japanese Bridgestone Corporation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, Bridgestone, not just Firestone?
Nope. It's now in 1988, it was sold to Japanese Bridgestone Company.
Huh. And Bridgestone's Japanese?
Yeah. I looked at two different sources to make sure, and yeah.
Okay.
Do you want more on Bridgestone, or is that good?
I want all the info.
Okay. So Mr. Harvey founded it in 1900, and it was initially to supply the solid rubber-sided wire tires, which for the life of me, I couldn't figure out or see an image of what they were talking about with a solid wire.
No, I only know of those like steel belts.
And I was thinking like some of my little tractor buckets my wagons have just solid rubber. So when they get punctured, they don't go flat.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find out what solid wire tires were. So please don't kill me in the comments.
Kill her. Kill me. Kill her. Kill, kill, kill. Kill, kill, kill.
Firestone soon saw that the huge potential was for marketing these tires for automobiles, because before they were used for wagons, buggies, fire wagons.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's going to use them for automobiles. And the company was a pioneer in the mass production of the tires. Mr. Harvey had a friendship with Mr. Henry Ford and used this to become the original equipment supplier for the Ford Motor Company automobiles.
Okay, then.
Yeah. And then after that, in 1988, the company was sold to a Japanese-owned company called Bridgestone Corporation.
The only reason that I keep getting so eyebrows-y raised about that is because there is a Bridgestone arena in Nashville, Tennessee, and I had no clue that it was Japanese-owned.
I didn't either. It's an amazing facility.
Yes. Well, it was after they bought this facility, they decided to build the Fontainebleau Miami Beach Hotel. So see how that goes full circle? Last week's episode into this one, because that's where Candy died. Yep.
Yeah.
From positional asphyxiation. It was in this hotel that was built during this time. Very hoity-toity. But it was not without some alleged shady dealings with the mob. But I didn't find any concrete evidence with that. It's only speculation. I don't want any trouble with anybody who might be possibly associated with any mob. So therefore, I'm just going to say it is reported out there. And if you want to know more about that, you might have to do your own research, because I don't want to be murdered. So this hotel was holding 535 rooms, and it was in a crescent shape, which is very unique at the time. It was a place to be. It housed United States presidents, the Rat Pack, which, if you know, is
Frank Sinatra.
I'm like that guy.
James Dean?
No.
James Martin. Jimmy.
Yeah, James Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., among others. And so they stayed there, other celebrities. And that meant that their new son, Ben Jr., who at the time went by Benji, was growing up in the lap of luxury with a bunch of famous people that were cooing all over him. And this is who was murdered at the top of the episode, was Benji. Because he grew up in the affluent lifestyle, there were plenty of people who went on record as saying that he was a spoiled brat.
Of course, because he's got money.
I mean, yeah. Now, according to Steve Gaines, who was the author of Fool's Paradise, his birthdays were spent with a room service cake and kids that were randomly staying at the hotel at the time. He didn't have any definitive friends that were, in his circle at all times. He developed a love for Batman. He collected memorabilia his whole life. He was enthralled and became a reserve officer in his 20s so he could patrol the streets in his Lincoln. And he used a bullhorn to talk to fellow motorists because he was like trying to patrol the streets like Batman does. His collection was thought to be the second largest in the county at the time of his death, which included a 1960s replica Batmobile. So it was pretty awesome.
How big was it? Like a
full-size, real driving Batmobile replica.
That's funny.
Right? So Ben Sr. and Bernice divorced, and while Miami was struggling as a whole, Ben Sr. declared bankruptcy and had to relinquish the hotel in 1977. The latest information I could find, is it a Hilton now? Or a Hilton chain?
Well, in 2005, for 30 years, it was being managed by Hilton Worldwide. Then it became self-managed. And then the same year, which was 2005, the Muss organization sold the Fontainebleau to Turnberry Associates $165 million.
Oh, okay then.
So it is now the Turnberry Associates.
But it's still there, right? Still standing?
It is. Do you want more?
I'm always down for more. Give me all the info. Hit me.
In 2006, the hotel closed a large part of the property, though one building remained open for the hotel guests and the furnishings were placed for sale. The expanded hotel and its new condominium buildings reopened in 2008. So they closed it down and built condominiums in it.
Okay.
On December of the same year, the Fontainebleau was added to the National Register of Historic Places.
Sweet.
And then the Hotel Blue had their grand reopening in November of 2008, just before December. It marked the end of $1 billion transformation. Oh, so they spent $1 billion.
That's insane. But I could stay there now?
You can.
Well, can I afford to stay there now? Did you happen to look up how much a room cost was?
Yeah, it was. I looked on one of those websites, and it's like $400 to $500 a day, which is it's fine. I mean, it's
no.
I went to Miami once, and I feel like I stayed here. I don't know. They were doing construction. I feel like I've been here. I'm sorry, but the pool looked really familiar because our luggage got lost in the plane. All we had were our bathing suits. We were sitting, and the guys were so rude that worked there because, well, I'm not going to get in trouble, but they were just rude. And because I was a girl, I was able to get us drinks, but they did not like us. Oh, so that's why I don't like Miami. But anywho, special care was taken to preserve many of the original design elements, including there's a staircase to nowhere, also known as the floating staircase.
Huh.
A lot of pictures you'll see the models standing there and it's floating.
That's cool.
So they also had the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and that.
Oh, I could see that.
That, because I listen to true crime podcasts, religiously, like you do, and that sprung something in my mind. Like, I've heard of this before.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up, and fucking dirtbag P. Diddy was there for that Victoria's Secret.
Wait, was it Big Bad True Crime that you were listening to?
Her 20-part.
I think it was, yeah, she did 9 parts or something of that.
But every episode was amazing. But yes, that's where she told me that he was there.
Okay. I haven't listened to all of them yet.
I did.
I've been really into audiobooks lately. I'm guilty. But yeah, I knew it had to be her. She went so in depth.
So good.
Absolutely chef's kiss. If you want to, we're not getting paid for this, but if you want to know literally everything about what's going on with the P. Diddy accusations and everything, go listen to Big Mad True Crime. So hit that one up. But back to Fontainebleau. And Ben Sr. and Bernice, they divorced, but they were still super friendly with each other. And Bernice was the one to be at his bedside when he passed in 1985 from heart and lung failure at the age of 79 or 78, allegedly. Because there was another woman at this time, Juana M. Rodriguez, who said that she had been with Ben Sr. for the last 5 years of his life, and she was the one who was there. She was a 30-year-old former Miss, it's either Uruguay or Uruguay. And I don't want to be that person that's like, it's pronounced Nolans and it's pronounced Laurel. But
the second way you said it, Uruguay.
Uruguay. I've always said it Uruguay. But anyway, if I offended you, I apologize. There was a competency hearing at the end of his days where Ben Jr. was trying to find him mentally incompetent at the time of his death. But it was stated that Ben Jr. was keeping him sedated and prevented him from seeing friends and family. And that's how he was trying to get away with it, because he was basically saying, I know I'm the one there. And then if anybody went in there, he was heavily sedated. He died before the entire trial shook out, and Juana was never reported on again. I couldn't find out if she got anything, wanted anything, nothing. She might have just loved him and wanted to be there. Back to Ben Jr., who now is a grown-up. He's a 53-year-old man with a successful convention planning business, which was called Convention Concepts Unlimited, raked in around $50 million per year. He knew what he was doing. And it was then that he met Narcissa Sierra Feliz Pacheco, who was a single mom to a 10-year-old daughter, May, and she was a full nude stripper at Hialeah, Miami Beach. They married in 1991, and at the time of his death, they had been married for around 19 years. Her daughter, May, was sent to boarding school when Narcy and Ben Jr. were married because Narcy didn't want her around. May did have a good relationship with her stepfather, Ben Jr., when she grew up, and she even worked for his company. And at the time of his murder, more than 1,000 employees from Amway Global International were at the Rye-Town Hilton Hotel where he and Narcy were staying. And of note, May was there as well, who was helping with the convention because she worked for her stepdad. So police that were investigating his murder started in the most obvious place, with his wife, Narcy. Police started looking at Ben Jr.'s phone records and deduced that he was still alive at 6:54 a.m. because he had received a call from a hotel worker who was relaying a problem with overcrowding for the breakfast. Narcy said that her husband had stayed awake until 6:30 a.m., working on finalizing the convention, and that he was still asleep when she left at 7 a.m. to go and help with the convention breakfast. Her timing might have been a tad off because we know about the phone call. She is definitely seen on surveillance at 7:17 a.m., corroborating that she was headed down to the breakfast. This also notes her key card was only logged opening the door again at 7:45 a.m., and that was when she found her husband's body. So she was outside of the room at 7:17 and back in the room at 7:45. So give or take, 30 minutes? Yeah, just about 30 minutes. And all of that had happened to him in those 30 minutes. That's because you don't swipe to exit the room, but when you open the door for someone else, it's possible that they can get inside. So maybe the window was a little bit bigger than 30 minutes. Just putting that one out there. When asked about this, Narcy said that it is possible she did not close the door completely behind her when she went downstairs for breakfast, that she didn't check that it locked behind her. Fair enough. Ish. I would never.
No.
But some people, maybe. Check your room. Narcy told police that she had run into the hall after she found Ben, but then later said that she tripped on him before running out into the hall. And of note, she didn't have any blood on her clothing, even though the scene was covered in blood, meaning that she never actually approached him. She said she would take a lie detector test, and she did 5
times.
Wow. Do you want to guess how many times she passed?
None of them.
None. Failed all 5. Narcy was also on record telling police that it was her daughter who had killed Ben Jr.
What a dick.
Or she had it done. May and Ben Jr.'s aunt, Maxine Field, were certain that Narcy was the one that was behind Ben Jr.'s murder. There was not enough evidence to hold Narcy, so they had to allow her to return to her home in Florida. May said that when they went back to Florida, she went to Ben's home office to look for who might have killed him, when her mother attacked her with a crowbar, called her a traitor, and all of this was actually caught on video.
Were they in the lobby?
No, it was in the house. Like, they had surveillance inside the house, like cameras. So looking into the couple's history added a few more context clues, and they found that in 2002, get ready for this, Ben Jr. told police that Nancy staged a home invasion, leaving him tied in a chair for 24 hours. She admitted after the fact she did do this. She was trying to steal $1 million from him, but Ben Jr. was in on it. and it had all been an elaborate sex game. Narcy showed police a personal collection of Ben Jr.'s sex portfolio, which was a bunch of porno pics of women with artificial limbs, stating that Ben Jr. had a fetish over those types of women. Why the fuck that matters, nobody knows.
Nope.
Narcy also said that he liked to be tied up for sex. In the end, he chose not to press charges against her or the accomplices that she had with her to tie him up. Don't know how that's part of a sex game. Maybe I'm just not into it.
Definitely not into it.
But Ben Jr. did file a petition for divorce after this. But this didn't happen because they reconciled. Police then discovered that Ben Jr. had been having an affair with porn actress Rebecca E. Bliss, formerly known as Mona Love. Yeah. This was absolutely not his first mistress, but this one just seemed to be different. In 2008, Ben Jr. used an online ad to find himself a high-end prostitute. Rebecca was 40, and when questioned, she said they just fell in love, and he was going to leave Narcy for her. He already set her up with an apartment in Fort Lauderdale, so she would be closer to him, as well as giving her some spending money. She said that Narcy found out about the affair and offered her $10,000 to end the relationship. Why? She didn't want a divorce because the prenup would only give her $65,000. So she said even less. Yeah. With him dead, she would be the sole inheritor of his fortune because his mother had recently died as well. Bernice, Benji's mother, was not Narcy's biggest fan since day one, but that didn't affect her close relationship with her son. They talked every day up until a tragic accident 3 months before Ben Jr.'s death. We're going to step away from Ben Jr.'s murder for a second while we look into what happened to Bernice. Bernice was 86 when she died that April. She had been found in her laundry room. Medical examiner for Broward County, Joshua Perper, said that she had suffered head injuries from a fall and he ruled it an accident. But police never investigated the scene because they thought it was a straightforward accident. They never interviewed her neighbors. But if they had, retired Miami Dolphins linebacker John Offerdahl had seen men prowling around her home in the time before her death, and he and his son chased them off. When police went back to look at what happened to Bernice, mainly because of the timing and the fact with Bernice dead, Narcy was now the sole beneficiary of Ben Jr.'s fortune, their animosity towards each other started to become evident. When the records of her autopsy were looked into for a second time, the reports showed that she had massive head injuries, a broken jaw, holding broken teeth, and a broken finger and broken knuckles, in addition to blood spatter in her home. Her accident was reclassified as a homicide because no fucking shit. And that was the first time in 16 years that medical examiner Dr. Joshua Perper had changed a ruling, and that happened in 2010. He said the first ruling was a culmination of her medical history of falls and the death investigation that occurred at the time. This change was not just made based on injuries, but based on more information that came flying in, and we're going to come back to this. In addition, around a week following Ben Jr.'s murder, police received an anonymous letter that was written in Spanish. It later came out that this letter was written by Narcy's sister, Leticia Taruno. It was mailed by Miami Springs Police, mailed to the Miami Springs Police, and it was sent to Rybrook, New Jersey as well. The letter read, Ben Jr. and Bernice were murdered at the behest of Narcy for millions of dollars. It named Narcy Cristobal Veliz, 58, who was Narcy's brother, and hired killers Alejandro Gutierrez Garcia, 34, and Joel Gonzalez, 27, as well as Dennis Ramirez. The letter said that Bernice was stalked before she was killed, and Narcy had the keys to the home, which she was the one to give to the killer. This was big, and police now hit the ground running. Alejandro grew up in Nicaragua before moving to Miami on a work visa in 2005. Of note, he has a drooping right eye, and that's going to come into play as we continue. While living in Miami, let us just say he didn't behave himself. He started racking up a rap sheet for violent crime. Joel was born and raised in Miami, and his record was for petty crimes. Dennis was born in Nicaragua as well and moved to the United States in May of 1988 for a student visa. He just decided to stay when it was over illegally. He was located after he was arrested for street peddling clothes in 2010. He folded like a contortionist. Alejandro, when he was tracked down, also had no problem telling his side of the story. Dennis had no problem talking about his side of the story in Bernice's murder. So everybody's saying, fuck this shit, I'm rolling, right? So the consensus between all of them was that Cristobal approached Alejandro and Joel in a car wash in February 2009. They were to stalk Bernice, and that led to her killing. That happened April 4th. Alejandro said that he was dropped off at her home along Coral Ridge Country Club. He waited for her to get out of her car in the garage, and he struck her with a monkey wrench in the head. He thought she was dead, so he ran. But Bernice wasn't dead. She went into her house and tried to clean up the mess. 86-year-old woman. She then went into the bathroom, and then she migrated back into her laundry room, and it was there that she was found by her neighbor the following morning. Poor baby. That one crushed me. I was like, ugh. As for Ben Jr.'s murder, I'm going to skip over some things that I purposeful or personally don't think matters. So, very long story short, it was planned for a while. There was a burner phone. There was a call from Narcy to Cristobal from a hotel at 6:39 a.m. They said that she let the killers into the hotel room. She handed them a pillow to muffle her husband. They found him bound with duct tape, like stated, beat him with dumbbells. They gouged out his eyes. The Rolex was left behind. She did give them his diamond bracelet that was worth about $100,000, as well as cash that had been in the room. Now remember Alejandro's droopy eye? He wore sunglasses to cover it. In the struggle, they fell off and they were broken, and so a piece of them was left behind on the bed. During the investigation, Narcy said it was a piece of sunglasses, but during questioning, she said, it's my sunglasses. Alejandro was like, no, those are mine. Security footage from the hotel lobby showed him at the hotel on the day of the murder wearing said sunglasses. Duh. Dennis pled guilty to being the wheelman who drove Joel and Alejandro to the hotel. Alejandro got 17-year sentence, Joel 10, all for Bernice's murder. Following Ben Jr.'s murder, Narcy was able to clear out the safe deposit box. She tried to sell his boat, cleared out most of his Batman collection, and a bunch more shady things. Then there were attempts made to have Alejandro killed, bribing for false testimony, an attempt to frame Mae, or even injure her so that way she was moved around to a safe house for her own protection. Narcy and Cristobal were now arrested and charged with the double murder, conspiracy to commit murder, domestic violence, stalking, money laundering, and witness tampering. Brother and sister were tried together in a federal courtroom in White Plains, New York in 2012. Alejandro and Joel testified that Cristobal hired them to kill Ben Jr. for $15,000, which emphasizes that they were to beat him up and take his eyes.
Good grief.
Mm-hmm. Cristobal took the stand for 3 hours, denying everything. He was allowed to tell his side of the story in court, but he did say that Mae had kidnapped him and kept him in a basement for 18 days before letting him go, saying that she would kill him and his grandchildren if he ever told anything of what happened. He also said that his own Nissan Pathfinder was stolen after the murder and it contained his cell debit card, and using those, he was being framed for the crime. As for why he was moving around large sums of money of Ben Jr.'s money after the murder, he said, I took some of the money for my girlfriends and some repairs for the Porsche, and I gave my sister money for legal fees. But during the trial, lawyers for both blamed the other sibling for being the mastermind. And their client was innocent of everything, so they were asking for leniency. So it was a he said, she said that was happening in the trial. None of it worked because the siblings were both sentenced to life without parole. The only charge that they were acquitted of was felony murder, which required proof of robbery in conjunction with the murder. But because the Rolex was still there and they couldn't prove the cash and they couldn't even prove that the diamond bracelet was there, it was never pawned. They couldn't prove any of that. Let us not forget about that massive Batman collection, which is why this is the topic. Narcy moved the memorabilia to their home to hide it, but a judge barred her from selling it in order to pay for her legal fees. The collection had gone missing in 2009, where it was housed in 4 of 6 warehouses on Ben Jr.'s Fort Lauderdale property. That lets you know how massive this collection was.
Wow.
Massive. Now, my fellow geeks might be interested to know that this collection included a first edition from 1940 and a 1939 comic where Batman was first appeared. A single copy of that comic had already sold for $1 million prior to this murder. Yeah. They found the collection and a legal battle ensued because Narcy was charged with Ben Jr.'s murder. She was awarded the estate, which included the collection. And when she was found guilty, we have the Slayer Law come into effect.
Yes. And so what the Slayer Law is it prevents the murderer from retaining the property interest in the victim's estate. The Slayer rule is found in trust and estates law and is designated to prevent people from committing murder to receive the inheritance. Murderers cannot inherit from their victims. 47 states have codified the Slayer statute. Can you think of a well-known example of the Slayer law?
Menendez brothers.
Oh, okay.
Immediately, that's the one I think of. I mean, I could think of a lot, but that's the very first one I can think of.
Yeah, and that is coming to front again with them trying to get a new trial.
Mhm.
But the example I chose was the 2002 murder of Lacey Peterson.
Yup.
Her husband, Scott, filed a lawsuit, Principal Life Insurance versus Peterson, to claim $250,000 in insurance benefits resulting from Lacey's death. However, he was convicted of murder and was eventually sentenced to death in 2005 because Peterson was convicted of first-degree murder. He lost the case despite the lack of final judgment.
As he should. Although you've heard that he's coming back now because they're talking about maybe getting him a new trial.
I know.
And
they keep rearing their ugly. That's all they have to do all day is be their own lawyers and try to get parole and try to get their new cases.
I would say, yeah, I would do the same thing, but I'm never going to murder anyone.
He wouldn't be in his shoes.
So who becomes the recipient of the estate because he had no biological children? His extended family wanted the estate, and May, his stepdaughter, said that she wanted the collection. All she wanted was the Batman collection because it was with her memories of the man that she called father. Like, that's what they would do.
This is why you need to put a trust together, people.
Yes.
Get a trust.
Get a trust, get a will.
The wills will have you be in court for years.
Yeah.
I may know something about that. Get a trust, people. No matter how young you are.
I'm guilty. I really need to put one together because we don't have it, especially when you don't have biological children. But all May wanted was the Batman. And I didn't even put this in my notes, but they would go around together to like these estate sales and stuff like that. And she would go and shop for this Batman memorabilia with him. And she had joy thinking about that. And so that's all that she wanted.
It probably goes to the state.
Well, her kids were sent to inherit everything because it had initially gone to Narcy, who then passed it down. But she never would have gotten it because of the Slayer Law. So technically it wouldn't have been Narcy's. So therefore it wouldn't have gone to her children. So interestingly, one of the extended family members who were fighting for the estate was Andrea Hisson Wynn. Does that last name sound familiar for any reason?
The Wynn Hotels?
Mm-hmm. His first cousin, who was married to Las Vegas hotel billionaire Steve Wynn, who had multiple unsubstantiated sexual misconduct charges against him. He was never convicted of anything. It was all allegedly. Don't sue me. I'm just saying why he was in the news. And Ben Sr.'s adopted son, remember from way back when, Ronald, from his first marriage to Bella? This is the only other time that he pops up. It was like a whole thing. Okay, I still don't know who gets the money. I still haven't figured it out. But I glossed over a lot more steps in the investigation, like the Western Union money transfers, credit card charges. But that was at my discretion because in the end, the story wound up being a whole. If you want to know more, that's fine. Many people have claimed that there's a connection between the murder of Bernice and Ben. Who really knows who actually did what? Was it retired Miami Police Department friend of Ben Novak, Charlie Saradair? Who told New York detectives that he was the one who connected the two crimes? Was it PI Patrick Franklin, who told police to check the wife after Ben was murdered? Was it Julie Knipp Brown, who was writing a book on the case? If the book is complete, I didn't find it published. In reality, who cares? The cases were connected. Proper people are serving time for the brutal homicides. All right. So if you've been paying attention and you watch a lot of TV like me, you may think this sounds really familiar to the TV show Magic City that stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan on Starz, because the whole time I was researching that, I was picturing Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
You lucky girl. He's a handsome man.
He is. And I swear he's Ben Novak Jr. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I also pictured Megan. But yeah. So yeah, that show was based loosely on the Fontainebleau Hotel, but they disguised it as the Miramar Playa Hotel.
Yes. But they even made it crescent shaped. And then they've got like their junior that's running around the hotel in super rish time. And oh my God. Okay, I was right. I didn't look it up because I was like, I swear it's exactly the same. But I'm going to have to get you to watch that TV show. It is chef's kiss. And if you haven't watched it, if you haven't caught on by now, I read a lot of books, watch a lot of TV, watch a lot of movies, and I give a lot of homework to Melissa Mae. And I'm going to continue to do that. So I hope you enjoy.
I hope you liked more of me.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy her chiming in more, because that's just going to happen more because it helps me out.
Gives me more work besides farming 24/7.
And I like hearing her talk and inform me about details that I don't want to look up anymore. All right. Talk to you guys next week.
Bye, y'all.
The views and thoughts expressed in this podcast are ours alone and do not represent the thoughts or opinions of anyone else. The information presented is for general information purposes only. We are not liable for anything you do with this information.